In life, most people seek power and prestige, fame and fortune, and that becomes their quest in their life. However, is it a way to lead the life? And if we have to learn from nature, what that will be? Let's look at verse 34 from Tao Te Ching. Hi, welcome back to OneUs. Today is day 34 and we will be looking at verse 34 from Tao Te Ching. As usual, before we begin, let's observe a few seconds of silence. Alright, so now let's look at verse 34 from Tao Te Ching. The great Tao flows everywhere, both to the left and to the right. So here what Laotzu means is, the great Tao, the great nature, doesn't have any partiality or doesn't have any preference. It doesn't have a preference to where people who we classify them are good or bad. Or it doesn't classify as a human being or any other beings, like it can be a planet or animal. Or it doesn't even have a partiality towards the one who follows God and the one who doesn't follow God. It doesn't have any partiality. So that's why it can flow both to the right and to the left impartially. And that's the first nature of the nature. And then he goes with, the 10,000 things depends on it. It holds nothing back. The key word here is holds nothing back. When we look at nature, the nature doesn't hold anything back. It can be air. It is in abundance. What we breathe, which we call it as a life force, it is there everywhere. And that flows without being partial to one person to the other person. Every living creature make use of the air. It is in abundance. It doesn't hold back. The same way when we look at the earth as a planet, it gives to everyone, every human being, every animal, every creature can be on this earth. It gives it to everyone impartially and doesn't hold back. And like the sun shines abundantly. It gives everything back to the earth. It doesn't hold back anything. And then he goes like, it fulfills its purpose silently and makes no claim. Though the nature gives everything in abundance to every single being of this planet, it doesn't look for any kind of recognition. Or it doesn't even look for any kind of an attention or show off. It just stays as it is. It just gives. Like how sun gives the sunlight, it just gives. And then it goes like, it nourishes the 10,000 things but does not rule them. When it says it nourishes, without the nature, we are nothing. We human beings cannot live in this planet if not for the air, water and the space, the earth, nothing. If we don't have the nature, we cannot live. However, doesn't claim to rule any of them. It doesn't show its power. It just still stays humble. It doesn't say that, hey, you owe me because I'm giving you so much to you. So the nature, though it nourishes, doesn't hold anything back or doesn't rule them. And these two lines also just reminds me that it also applicable in a parent and a child relationship. So how I relate is, though the parent nourishes a child by providing a shelter, food and clothes and etc., at any given point in time, we should not try to rule them. We should not try to dominate them. And that's where the saying goes like, the child comes to this world through us, but not from us. So they are all the child of the nature. So that is why we should not show our dominance to the kids as well. Though they may be our child, but we should not show our dominance to them and thus should not think that we rule them. Then the word goes like, it has no aim, it is very small. What he means by no aim is nothing but no desires. The nature doesn't have any desire for anything. And also it doesn't have an ego. That is why it is called, it is very small, it is very humble, it stays humble, doesn't have any ego like human beings. to rule somebody. No, it stays humble. That's why it's very small. Then the word goes like 10,000 things return to it, yet it does not rule them. Though we know that everything in this planet goes back to the nature, the death is inevitable, everything goes back to the nature. Still, the nature doesn't say that I rule you. No, it still says, come back to me, as like a mother. How it can invite the child back to their life, the nature tells us, come back to me, without showing any power or dominance over any being on this planet. And the final words are, it is very great. When it says it is very great, just because the nature holds the characteristics of being impartial, being humble, no showing power or looking for recognition and attention or bragging or boasting about its own self, it is great. And then Laotzu ends this verse with these lines. It does not show greatness and is therefore truly great. Since the nature, the Tao, doesn't show any of these things, any of the traits of human being, like a need for power or a prestige, show off, or it can be like, kind of recognition and attention seeking. The nature doesn't have any of this nature. It is humble, so it is great. And likewise, a wise man who follows or imitate the nature and the quality of the nature, then they also stay humble, and that way they also become great. So, in this verse, Laotzu is inviting us to imitate the qualities of the nature. The quality of nature is being humble, being impartial, showing no power of dominance or power, not looking for recognition and attention. So, not showing our ego. And that is a quality, a nature of the nature. And Laotzu is asking us to live with such a quality so that we can also be great, like the way the nature is. And that's the crux of this verse 34. So with that, we come to an end of the verse 34. And one actionable thought for today is, try to stay with the quality of our nature, the Tao. What are those qualities? Being impartial. Don't distinguish people as your preferred one and not preferred one, your family member and non-family member. Instead, try to stay impartial. Give it to people without showing any partiality. And then don't seek any kind of an attention or recognition for your deeds. If you give, give. If you, they say the left hand should not know what right hand gave. So that way, you don't look for any kind of a recognition or appreciation from someone. Instead, if you want to help others, just help instead of looking for attention. And be humble. How much ever you have a knowledge or wisdom or anything, don't show off. Just be humble. And finally, instead of looking for fame and attention and power, even if you hold a leadership position or even you being a parent of a child, don't show your power over them. Instead, be humble because you are not a ruler of anybody. Just look for their own inner nature and follow the quality and nature of the Tao. And that way, we can be as great as the great Tao itself. So with that, we come to an end of day 34 and talk to you tomorrow. Thank you.